One YouTuber, he claimed last week that she did 100 Surya Namaskars in a day for a month. So we just want to know how much is too much, and what is the ideal number of doing Surya Namaskars.
All right, Surya Namaskar is very much an integral part of yoga. It's nice to know the origin of yoga now, since you have asked about Surya Namaskar, sun salutation. Just as soul, we all know soul, right?
Yes.
I'm sure you all agree with it. If anyone doesn't agree, you may say no in the chat box. We all have soul in us. And what is the job of the soul? It is a witness first, and it also guides. We say instinct. All that comes from here, it doesn't come from the brain. Brain is just an instrument. So just as soul for the human body, the sun is the soul for the universe. Now it's very important to understand Jiva and the Para. Like Jiva is the normal, our individual, or Purusha Prakriti. This is a very dual concept in Sankhya philosophy, which emerged in the 4th or the 5th century. So Purusha and Prakriti, meaning Purusha is nature. Prakriti is nature. You all know what nature is around us. And Purusha is the individual, you, me. We are all Purusha.
Okay.
So there are two consciousness here. So what is consciousness here? Don't confuse, because there is a concept which I mean understanding by the common people, that consciousness is for high intellectuals. If I say awareness, it's for all, right? So
Right.
it is awareness. So consciousness meaning is synonymous to awareness. So whenever I say consciousness, please relate it to awareness. That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
So this there is a consciousness which is in the universal level, and there is a consciousness at the individual level.
Yes.
So that is Prakriti, Purusha. So the union of these two is called that Purusha who is evolved. So he has understood the entire mechanism of how the universe. In fact, 5th or the 4th century, the Sankhya philosophy, there is no mention of God. It is just universal understanding of the universal consciousness. Even Buddha, even Jainism, there is no concept. There were another group of people, Charvaka. There is no mention of God there. It is just you understand how the universal consciousness is and go by it. And of course, they had other dictums like how we have in Ashtanga Yoga, Yama, Niyama, your self-discipline, like waking up in the morning. And all those were also part of it. And being honest, truthful, Satya, Ahimsa, all those were there. But understanding the universal consciousness and the individual consciousness, this is one concept that we have to understand. So the sun is the soul of the universe, of that consciousness, just as we have an individual soul. So that is why whenever we do yoga, we begin with sun salutation, like you're connecting the individual soul to the universal soul. That's what it means. And how this yoga emerged in the very beginning of when the universe was ready to be formed at the Big Bang. So as soon as the Purusha was ready to interact with the universe, the concept of yoga came in. How? It was given by the sun god himself. He's called the Hiranyagarbha. So his son, who received it later, was Vishwaswan, and then he gave it to Krishna, because Krishna was in charge of the this era that we are in. He was in charge. So it should be given to the person who is in charge, or not person, the entity who is in charge of the yuga, right? So that he can take it. So Vishwaswan gave it to the in charge of who was Krishna then, and Krishna gave it to, now Krishna is of that level. So he has to give it to the earthly level. So from there now it has to come down to the earthly level. So King Manu, I mean, you all must have heard of him. He's a very commonly heard of Manu. He was the king man. Because Krishna was very smart. If you give it to an ordinary person, it may not reach over. So he gave it to the king, because king can give it to rest of his subjects. Because the king does, the prajas follow, the people follow him. So he was a smart man. That's why he was Yuga Purush. So he gave it to King Manu, and from him it was given to different subjects, and then they were asked to travel to different places, spread it, and that's how. And every time there has been an avatar to research it. Whenever it falls down, the concept is slightly glimmering, and resurgence happens. Somebody, that's what he says, no? Glanir bhavati, dharmasya glanir bhavati. So he comes up. So it has always been. So we even had B.K. Iyengar, who was called the modern day yoga guru. He researched it because it was going down. Now we have it again, it was going down. We know Prime Minister Modi is researching it. So every time there has always been some resurgence happening about yoga. That shows how strong this concept is and how important it is to be followed. So that is about the sun salutation. The number of times is, it depends on the person. So ideally for a beginner, should start with 2 to 3 times, slowly train the body day by day. So ideally for 3 days, 2 to 3 times, same pattern. So the body understand. So the next day when you do, increase it to 2 more times and slowly make the body understand. So listening to the body is very important here. So one's own capacity only.
Okay, so it can be done both by men and women equally, depending on their body type. How much they can.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
This hip part is generally very flexible for men, unlike women, because our biology is different at the sacral level. Yeah, the sacral chakra is very different for women. That's why we have the glandular hormones and all are very different for men. So there is flexibility difference. Nevertheless,
They can
it's
do it.
good to listen to the body and go with the capacity. Ideally, for all, to begin with 2 to 3 times.
Okay.
And then do the rest of the asana. Only doing sun salutation also is fine, but ideally salute sun god and do the rest of the.
Perfect. So my next question is, can yoga help in hormonal issues faced by women during the age of 40s?
Yes, when you say hormone, you should not think that you're pulled into a biology class or that I'm going to take you back to your classroom. So it's good to know about the physiology of this body. Yeah. So physically, we are an embodiment of 9 systems.
Okay.
These 9 systems drive us, like, muscular system, skeletal system, cardiovascular system, GI, the most commonly known gastrointestinal system, digestive system, reproductive system. Then we have a very important system, which is the endocrine system. So this other systems and all, what it does. Yeah. This endocrine system is the one which takes care of all the glands in the body, like liver. It's the largest gland in the body. When it fails, what happens? Slowly everything else fails. So that's the most, because the size is big, it does major functions of our body. And so when there is an abuse through alcohol happens, the first affected is the liver. And then near the liver is the kidney. So, the most smart organs in the body are kidney and heart. Kidney is even more smarter because when some alien body enters the system, the first indication is given by the kidney. That is why for most of the tests, it is the blood and the urine that is given, because from there everything is diagnosed, not anything else. Yeah. So they are so glandular system plays a very important role in our body. So the amount of hormones that is secreted from the glands is decided by the level of activity that we are doing. Like when you're sleeping in the night, there is not much of a secretion needed because there is no action. And when I'm talking now, there is enough of see, this is this gland. There is something important gland here called the thyroid. And behind that, there's a small gland called the parathyroid. And then here we have thymus, hypothalamus. So all these are small glands, very small gland, pituitary gland. In fact, it is some of the doctors, physicians say it is not even in their visible arena, but it is a gland. And in male, it is mostly unfunctional. For women, to some extent, it works because there is also a study that that's more of a spiritual gland, the pituitary gland. That's why it's slightly invisible. So these are the various glands that we have. Adrenal, very commonly adrenal, rush, all that we talk, right? It's from the adrenaline gland. So this endocrine system is the one which decides the amount of hormones that have to be secreted, and based on the exact balanced secretion of hormone, our balancing of the thoughts, of work, everything is reflected. So if we have seen so many people, they do the job, they are on it, and then they lose interest in it, they leave it and then go to the next one. Yeah,
Yes.
that's because there is some imbalance in the secretion of the hormones. And also talking. Sometimes they are very nice to you, sometimes they don't even recognize you, so you're confused what happened. So we have to understand here there is something really not okay with them, not with us. In theirs internally, there is some imbalanced secretion of hormones, and that's what is making them so. So this is how the understanding of hormones that we should know. Now, when it comes to yogasana, most of the asanas, if you see, I said yoga is for the mind. Yeah, Patanjali, he gave one who can control the mind, the body immediately listens, because body is only the outer.
Okay, that is very important.
It's only the outer that you can see. It is only outer. So we are made of two bodies, majorly, mainly two bodies: the physical and the internal body, which is the energy body, or you can call it subtle body. In Sanskrit, it's called the Sukshma Sharir. It is called Sukshma because you can't see it. Sthula, physical, which you can see. But this physical is completely driven by that Sukshma body. So that's why Patanjali said giving importance to that is mind, and controlling body through the mind is important, is better. Nevertheless, Hatha Yoga, Pradipika of Geranda Samhita all says that body also can be done, and through which body. Okay, there are different theories. Both were successful. Well, mind is the driving factor, driving force. So this hormones, when you say, there are different in the subtle body also, just as we have the physical anatomy, the subtle body also has an anatomy.
Oh,
In
yes.
that, they are called sheets or layers or koshas. Very
Yes.
precise how it's written in the granthas are koshas. So there are 5 such koshas. That's why they call the pancha kosha.
Yes.
Annamaya kosha, which you know is the physical body, and the next is manomaya kosha. Man, you can know, is mind. Then there's called the pranamaya kosha. Prana, you know, is the life force. So when you do the analom, vilom, all that, what supplies that sufficient energy, vital force, is from the pranamaya kosha. And then the next sheath is the vijnanamaya kosha, which is the intellect. Now, to make a forum like hold and bring in people and to make a poster. So these are all the job of the intellect.
Yes.
So that intellect comes from the Vijnanamaya kosha, and then comes the last one, which is the Anandamaya kosha, which is the bliss sheath. So when we transcend all these, and then what is there is just the bliss. Always bliss is not that when we attain the liberation. So liberation doesn't mean that we are dead. While living, very important is while living we should attain liberation. After death, nothing happens. The body goes, mind goes, and then where is the point of liberation? So while living, if we can attain the liberative status, nothing affects you. Good, bad, somebody laughs at you, don't laugh at you, somebody say I love you, somebody say you are the worst in the world, nothing affects you. That is the state of equanimity. That is also Krishna says in Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, Samatvam Yoga Ichyate. Yoga meaning equanimity, equipoised. Nothing affects you. So when we reach that state, that is the bliss sheath. So in this hormone is completely, the endocrine system is completely under the control of Manomaya kosha. So when that is why they say mood swing. When the hormones are the mood is, because it is under the complete purview of that Manomaya kosha. So when we do some yogic practices which will work on the Manomaya kosha, it has an impact on the physical body, especially at the endocrine system level, the glandular level, and there is a equilibrium.
Thank you. So you covered everything, all the
Sorry
hormonal things.
about the biology class.
I now invite Miss Vasu to ask you some audience questions if they are. And I also have some more questions left with me. If we will have time, I'll get back to you.
Devi is going to ask the audience question, but I want to ask one before Devi comes in. Brinda, is there any asana that is good for women that you can show us? That is good for, the hormonal change, or during the periods there is a period pain. If you can just show us one or two asanas. I know that your mat is ready behind and my mat is also ready behind. So if we can just do that before we go to audience question, that would be nice. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, good you prompted this because it's really needed. Just talking about yoga alone is not enough. There should be some practical, explicit work to be done. Yeah. All right. So my audio is clear, video is clear. Nothing is. All right.
Perfect. Like
Yes.
you're also going to do, this is the post, right? This is perfect. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. So particularly for the for women who are towards 40, 45, 50, like me, one important asana which everyone should practice easily practicing. Simple Trikonasana first, yeah. So feet slightly apart. So the reason that we keep the feet slightly apart is you're allowing this part. You know what is the main hormone that we secrete? It is estrogen, right? Women, and for men it is androgen. Yeah. All right. So this estrogen levels are less than the age because of the blood flow is slightly altered. So when this estrogen level is less, that is when we feel the spasmic pain. Otherwise, we don't feel. So in order to manage, no, we can't allow the secretion of the estrogen to be optimum, but we can manage the muscles in such a way to hold whichever level is being secreted. That's what we are trying to do through these asanas. So first is Trikonasana, feet slightly apart, and make sure your navel is close to the stomach. Like you're tucking your stomach inside towards the navel. Yeah. And then hands stretch. And slowly bend towards one side. Wherever your hand can hold, just hold it. And look up. Now you will feel here, one side is relaxed and the other side is stretched. And there is a lot of work it takes place in the sacral chakra or your this part. And then slowly come back. Now to the other side. Simple Trikonasana is enough. You don't have to go below, touching the floor. No, this is more than enough. Okay. So slowly come back. Now we'll do one more sitting posture. Simple. These two, if you can remember and do, is more than enough. To go to the sitting posture, don't struggle to sit. Come to Utkatasana. Imagine a chair behind you and you're going to just sit. Okay. Hold the posture for some time. Now here also you can see there is a pressure given here. So it nicely massages your sacral chakra or the body parts in that chakra. Hold and now slowly come down further and now sit. Now when you sit in such a way that both the feet are, the soles are touching each other. This is the Vardha Konasana. And hold and breathe in and out. Always make sure your spinal column is in the straight line. That's when the prana moves easily. You know, we have three nadis, right, left, and the center. Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna nadi. So when we do this, the Sushumna nadi has to be in the straight line for the distribution of prana. So hold and inhale and exhale. And if possible, try flapping the thighs. This is called Tirthliyasana, Purna Tirthliyasana. This is very effective. This is actually designed for women. So there is, the hip has to open. So mostly because the hip is not open, there's a contraction. Yeah? So this you can try. If possible, you can bend down and come. This you can try whenever you can. Yeah? This is a good one. And also the other one is twisting. Like this and twist. So you can see there is a twisting happening here. And changing the leg and twist. So these three you can try. These are very good. Of course, there are other asanas also. Suddha Badrakonasana, which is nicely lying on the back with the posture, but we can try it later. Yeah, these three you can try.
Thank you for the wonderful demonstration, Brinda. And my first question is: we do it during the periods itself, is it during the menstrual cycle, or this is like in general? You're saying it's good which we can do.
Yes, it is in general. Everybody can do. Even young girls who have just attained puberty, or even before that, anybody can do. During the cycle, if there is pain, as I said in the beginning, is listening to the body is very important. You know, by doing a little more stretch, your body is giving a lot of. Ideally, when you do yoga, there should not be undue pain in the body. That means you're stretching some muscle which are not cooperating, but you're forcing it to stretch. So you have to do it very gently. So if you feel that is going to create more pain, it's good to avoid. But the Trikonasana can be done for sure. They can try it. Or they can sit with the legs together, crossed, hold and do this Pavan Muktasana. This is also a very good posture. And but any posture, one should be able to hold for at least 10 minutes. Otherwise, the effect is 10 minutes.
Okay. Okay.
That's when the full effect is taken into the system.